Hi, everybody. I'm Mike, and this is Mike Miller Talks Life. Today's quote is "Joy is strength." I saw this posted in a gym, and it just really caught my eye. It seemed out of place in a way because it was a room filled with people lifting a lot of weights, some extremely strong people, physically strong. And there were quotes and sayings all over the place about confidence and motivation and lift more and all this kind of stuff. And yet here was this quote: joy is strength. Our lives are a combination of joy and sorrow, births, death, dreams, disappointments, marriage, divorce, gain and loss, health, illness. At any given moment, there's much to be grateful for, as well as things that we mourn over. And joy in that world stands out like a bright light, just like that poster in the gym. Joy is strength stood out. It almost like, wow, why is that here? It is strength. The roots of joy go deep into our life, and they will produce a strength as we go through life. In your search for joy, don't settle for happiness along the way. Many are searching for happiness. They say, I just want to be happy, or everybody deserves happiness. Happiness is good. There's nothing wrong with it. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and happiness is good for us, good for our mental and emotional health. When I was thinking about it, I don't think anybody would really be upset or refuse happiness if it enters their life. But you don't want happiness to be your life goal, because happiness is an emotional response to an outcome. It's based on people, places, events, and situations. Like, we won the game. I got the job. I'm cancer-free. We're getting more customers in our business. I'm in a relationship. I'm getting a big tax return. These are outcomes in life, and they're great. Nothing wrong with any of these. Nothing wrong with rejoicing and having fun and celebrating any of these things. Happiness is total good. It's fun, but it's always contingent on getting a desired outcome. And the funny thing about life is it's always changing. Situations change. And so happiness doesn't last. What made you happy yesterday may be gone today. It's just the nature of how things happen. The fun vacation ends and we feel blue. The party ends and we have to go to work the next day, so we're down. We buy something new and it's not that exciting anymore. Out-of-town company is finally, they have to go home, and so the sadness takes over because we'll miss them. Our relationship with somebody ended. Things change in life. And so sometimes the people who are constantly looking for happiness have a life that's characterized by ups and downs, happy, sad. It's not a real fulfilling life. It's not a life of strength. It's a life more surfacey and always hinged on the next thing happening that will make them happy. When it comes to joy, joy is really different than happiness. They have some similarities, but essentially joy is very different. Joy is a positive confidence toward life, regardless of the circumstances you're in. It's internal, not external like happiness. It is a product of something. It's like fruit. We can't produce it. It flows from a spiritual relationship, and it is evidence of God in our life, evidence of his presence. And many struggle here. We might agree that joy is spiritual in nature, but we don't like the idea of God. We've had, we have a bad idea of God because of our exposure to religion and our exposure to people who claim to represent God. Or maybe we've had a bad experience and we're just mad at God because of that. Religion is created by men, people, to help us get to God and maintain contact with him. But many times it feels like in religion that God's not a part of it. Religion can get pretty lifeless and dead and a chore. Getting to know God is all about grace and faith, much different than religion. And the people that we've encountered who claim to represent God are a lot like religious nuts. They're kind of crazy, right? I mean, I've met them in my job as a pastor for a long time. I've met a lot of religious nuts. And they're always claiming things that aren't true, and they're always trying to lead their people down a path that's going to provide something. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's so weird and unhealthy, and it can't possibly be something that's connected to God. At least I never thought so. I love this quote I found. God wants spiritual fruit, not religious nuts. I mean, the problem is, I guess religious nuts don't think they're nuts. And so it's a problem, I guess. I think there is a God. I believe he's a good God. I believe he's mysterious. I can't always figure him out. But, I mean, I think if we had a God that we could figure out, then I don't know if he'd be that much of a God. I believe he wants a love relationship with everybody. We were made by him and for him, and a connection with God comes by faith. God sees our lives as like a garden, and he plants his fruit in our life when we put our faith and trust in him. And that's what's produced. And joy is part of this fruit, and it's evidence of God. We can't produce this joy on our own, but we need it. As the fruit of joy develops, we begin to realize that there's a purpose for our problems. And we can maintain our joy, this positive confidence toward life, no matter what we're going through in life, no matter how hard it is, no matter how annoying or frustrating or overwhelming it is. And that's powerful. And we go through some very hard things. Illnesses, loss of loved ones, financial collapse, lots of problems, lose our job. I think it's very hard when people have to care for a loved one who is very ill. It's very draining and consuming. And yet, once we have this joy planted in our life by God, we can go through that. We can struggle. We can be sad. We can be overwhelmed, but we can feel this constant positive confidence toward life. We can begin to accept and even enjoy some of the very things that many people we know struggle with, like who we are, what we are, where we are, why we aren't with that person, or those kinds of things that many people struggle with, the very things that we think are super important in life. We can begin to accept, and even enjoy those things. Joyful people are very attractive, not necessarily physically, but they attract us. We are drawn to them. Have you ever been around a person that's joyful? They're appealing. We find ourselves sort of like moving closer. We want that. We see this positive confidence toward life. It's not super bubbly or laughing or jumping around no matter what's happening. It's I don't know if it's that, but it's certainly this positive confidence toward life. And it's flowing out from the inside out of them. And we're attracted to that because we want it. It's just no matter what they're going through, there's this confidence. Life's good. This is hard. Life's good. That's attractive. I believe God attracts people to himself through the fruit that he plants in people's lives that put their faith and trust in him. It's not the only way, but it's a primary way. We can lose sight of our joy when we focus on joyless things, anxiety and fear. Our world is crazy. There's a lot of frightening things, a lot of things that cause anxiety if you focus on it. The way our political environment is, the pandemic stuff, the threats in our economy, a lot of things are just frightening. If we focus on that, it will cause us to lose sight of our joy. We can be caught up in comparing what other people have, where they are in life, what they've accomplished, what they have, and we can begin to covet that. And it's really rooted in the fact that we feel cheated, that we don't have cool things. When you do, you're just not looking at what you have. We can focus on being super busy and overcommitted, and we miss time just to reflect on joy. Unresolved conflict, it just robs us. Joyless, negative people drain us. So we have to be really careful about these kinds of things, getting a grip on our life. Joy is a source of strength. And because it's strength, it's that because it's the presence of God in our life. And so we want to let this positive confidence toward life be what filters what enters our life. And you will experience great spiritual strength, no matter what you go through. A strength to be confident, no matter what you're facing, which is really important. A strength to make the right choices, to say yes to your purpose, to pull away from things that are holding you back from what you need to be doing. Joy is something that we should be extremely grateful for because it is a marvelous gift. Marvelous gift. Real joy is strength. Hey, thanks so much for listening. I hope this was helpful to you. Hopefully it was encouraging. I know it's a little on the spiritual side, but it's just what I think joy is about and where it's from. And hopefully it's clear, something you can think about. And I hope if you like it, you'll click like, maybe share it with somebody who might be struggling in what they're going through in life. Until next week, I hope you have a healthy and joyful life.